Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Men's Chapter House. We're going to hop right into this. This is with Marc at Bad Ace Academy. Marc has right around 23 years of grappling experience, so he's got a little bit of knowledge on me for sure. However, this video will clearly show that, so you'll have not my word to have to rely on this. Here I'm hopping, trying to maintain balance, and then basically scoop over and get that guillotine to kind of prevent. I find that the front headlock position is very strong. Here I'm using it to basically gain that front control, just kind of maintaining on top. I need to get a little bit better about maintaining pressure and there not committing my resources inside of it. As you see, he simply rolls me over. Not a lot of people have punished me for that before, so I have to get better about that. And here you'll see I'm pressing on him, but not committing too much, and then I go in for the to commit. But one of my legs is literally doing nothing. It's supposed to be helping me as like a pillar and a base, but it's not. So I should have transitioned it. And here I try to go for an arm bar and then Omo, but both of those are going to slip, and he's going to get top position. And this is where the game changes for real. I am no longer aggressive. I need to get really, really good with him on the bottom, because once he has me in side control, he really just works me. If you watch our videos that we have in the future, I believe. I'm not sure if they happened, or if they're already posted, or if they happened after. But this should have been our third or fourth time rolling together. And his side control is quite difficult for me to get out. Maybe it's because I'm too lazy and I've gotten too comfortable. However, his pressure is really good. And I'm not comfortable turtling. Everyone tells you to turtle. I suck at turtling. It's also way harder to do than people say. They're like, oh, just turtle up. When you turtle up with someone who has really good pressure and they already have developed grips, it's a good way to get choked. So take that as you will. Here, I believe he's going to get me in a lapel choke. He's going to use my hand to press on it, and he's basically going to clear it so he can get on the cross lapel, and he's basically just going to punch it down on the other side once he grabs it. If you can't tell, he's putting a lot of pressure on my upper body. He's driving those hips pretty good. And he's trying to work my elbow past my rib cage, so my arm is not protected, protecting my actual rib cage, so he can get his hips basically to my chest. And that way he can, isolate the arm a little easier. I thought he got the loop choke on this one, but I guess I managed to get a little bit more flat again. Oh, it's coming. You can already see it. It's coming. I see it. Yep. He said, I worked it free. It's time. And that's the tap. Yeah. Gi changes things up. You got to be aware of all the things in gi. There's a lot more chokes in gi, and a lot more angles that loop chokes and collar chokes and all those kind of things can come. So if you're not paying attention, they'll sneak up on you. Here we're getting into talking about keeping that arm there, but not allowing him to basically pry it sideways. And he's going to explain this to me in better detail, because I'm a dummy and I don't pick things up super fast. So I'm going to have to be explained what he's talking about. It's hard to conceptualize what everyone's talking about, especially when you're already rolled and there's a lot of things that have happened and you're breathing. So he's going to basically show me what he's talking about. And here he's on the side, and he's basically telling me to get the elbow that my ribs are pressing on, to shuck it over, basically, or press it over, and end up almost rib to rib or hip to rib, basically extending that arm over. Now, if they end up going too far and you lose control, that's because you didn't control the person and you gave them an avenue of escape, as he was just explaining. A way of controlling that would actually be grabbing the far elbow, the one that's on the floor, and pulling it up. He shows that to me later, but it's a good measure of control. It's a good way to basically secure the mount and prevent movement from going anywhere. If you really want the back control and you're pressing over, it is better to basically grab that top hand. You see how my hand is grabbing his shoulder right now? It's doing nothing. So if he's going to basically point that out now. And I always use my other hand basically to capture it because I prefer to keep some measure of head control. What I'm doing there has no measure of head control. I'm just being dumb. But here with that arm, the back exposure is a lot easier. But again, he's showing that if he's in tight, and they're staying tight, there's still avenues to go. And like, again, pressing that elbow with your chest, opening it up, and then snagging it. So I'm just going to press it forward, snag it, and then this is going to offer up that back exposure. And I come up super high and then slide my hook in to take back. I don't know if you actually should do that. You give up a lot of space. I'm very used to going into attacks right away, which seems to be okay on average with average people, or like intermediate jiu-jitsu level, I should say, non to intermediate jiu-jitsu level. And then you get with people who are no longer intermediate, and that is not going to work for you because their jiu-jitsu is too good. So jiu-jitsu versus jiu-jitsu, that's not a viable option. Speed is not always your best friend. And here I'm talking about like no gi control versus gi control. He's telling me that basically that cross is the cross collar is going to be stronger than grabbing someone's armpit, which it makes total sense. It leads straight into the choke and all that kind of other stuff. But if you look at a lot of the top guys at New Wave, they're starting to hold that armpit to prevent mobility. And then here he just grabs both sides of my gi and then basically pulls it back. He was like, this will basically stall out anyone who's trying to escape. And I was like, nope, definitely feels like it. It is powerful on your back. If no one's ever done that to you, grab both sides of your lapel and just kind of pulled. Definitely restrictive of your movement, because if their hooks are in and they're extending you, there's not a whole lot of rotational you'll get. And then here we're talking about double overs versus seatbelt. Seatbelt or double over, which one's better? And we're talking about how the seatbelt literally just feeds straight into an arm triangle most of the time. And if it doesn't, well, typically you get their back again. Yeah, it's getting a lot of experience right here. So again, he's been doing it for 23 years. I don't often meet a lot of people who've been doing jiu-jitsu for a lot longer than I have, but he's been doing it for quite a few years more than me. Unfortunately, that's just like location-wise. A lot of the people here have been doing grappling for maybe 5 years longer than me, or which again, 5 years is quite a bit of time still, but at the same time, like he's got 3 times that of experience, so of additional experience than me. So it is nice to just have that knowledge presented to me, and here he's talking about the loop chokes that I'm gonna keep falling prey to. I gotta get more aware of them. I thought I was pretty knowledgeable about where my gi is, and that is not the case, because he needs very little to choke me out with it. Now here's just giving me an ego boost because Marc's a really good guy, and he's high energy and talks about basically like outwork people, outgrind them, stay consistent, and you will eventually just smash everybody that you come across. And I mean, he's still kicking, still wrestling, and still grappling. So I'm gonna say that his advice is probably pretty good. Here I'm trying to work into that mount position, but he has crowded the space with his arms. I thought I could hold him there by basically just sitting there. Not the case. And here he captures my leg. I'm going to try to free it basically by circling around the back, but then I was silly. However, I think he was trying to come back up, and I get a arm bar. I think the only reason I get this arm bar, one, because I was lucky, and two, I think he was going to come back into me. And when he tried to come back into me, his arm was still in danger. And I got lucky, because if you watch the rest of this video, that is really the only time that I ever get anything of a dominant position on him. Here, apologies to Marc, I almost put my fingers in his eye. I was trying to basically post on his head, but my hand was super open. So yeah, be careful when you post on people's heads. No one wants to get an eye poke. His pressure is, again, very good. I was trying to get a little bit of space to basically stand up again. Standing up typically works pretty well against most people. If you don't like whatever engagement you're in, get out of it. Start over. And you'll see I almost religiously go to headlocks, and you see I start propping his head up and trying to go to that back control. I'm going to go for another armbar here. Not that I'll ever be successful again. But you see he likes to turtle up and hide a lot of his stuff. And again, I'm going to overcommit to trying to attack his turtle, and he's just going to roll. But I paid attention from the last time, right? This time I'm going to roll with him, and I'm going to follow him. However, this does not allow me to take his back. I try to take his back, and yep, there it is. I'm on the bottom again. Opening up scrambles is a good idea, especially if you are better at scrambling. And he was able to maintain hips and his head higher than mine. I went to take his back, and I wasn't able to solidify it. He just put his hips higher than mine, and then he brought his head up higher than mine. I have been having some tummy issues, so this is what this is. I had to tap. I was going to throw up. I've been having some gastric / stomach pain, and I have been getting, like, honestly, I would say bubbles. It's almost like bubbles, but it's painful, but, like, it feels like I'm going to throw up, just because I have, like, too much stomach acid or something, and I just needed to not throw up on the mats. But, so, we're going to hit right back in it, give him back his side control. He's being nicer to me going into north-south. His north-south's different than I've, like, been taught north-south typically. If you see, he's propping up my head, and he's going to get that tap relatively pretty fast. As soon as he propped my head up, he was also basically choking me with my lapel. I'm telling you, the lapel is a dangerous thing in gi. You got to be paying attention to it. But once he propped me up, I was kind of like out of my element, I should say, or not necessarily that I hadn't seen it before. I thought I could escape it by just basically making space, right? Once my head got up onto his thigh and he had control of my arm, there was not a whole lot of motion I could do. I was going to try to shoot into him, but the lapel that he had choked me out. So there ain't no way it's going to happen. Yeah, but that north-south position, I've always been taught basically put your head to the hip, crowd the space that they're trying to fill, don't let them invert, etc. Right? He's saying he basically never puts his head past their sternum, or he basically puts it right on their sternum, and he just elevates their head to prevent them from basically inverting, or because you can't invert if your head is not on the mat, I should say. You could try to invert on top of a human being. You could. And here he's explaining that, like, yeah, if he props you up, he doesn't even need to lean his head down. Once he props you up, all he has to do is basically maintain that top position. And he uses, again, that cross lapel or anything like that to choke, or he isolates an arm and then goes for whatever arm attack he wants. And I thought that was a very interesting way of holding north-south versus the traditional way that I have been taught. And then you'll also see that people will do this when they attack the back. They won't put hooks in, and they'll just kind of put pressure on your back. I'm assuming it's a very similar concept. The attack of the back, when you can basically just compress someone's spine so they don't, like, move. Right? Everyone thinks, like, if you just straighten out your legs and get super low, that people won't be able to choke you. Well, if that person decides to stand up and start putting spinal pressure on you and then starts to apply a choke, I promise you, that's going to be very uncomfortable and you'll probably go to sleep or you'll tap, right? On the flip side of that, this north-south position I think is actually very similar. It's just obviously on a different angle or a different plane, right? So instead of me being able to move horizontally while being vertical, I am not able to move vertically while horizontal, if that makes sense. He's lifting up and compressing the spine in a way, like staying close, driving into the head, that if I tried to move along the horizontal plane while trying to travel vertically, it would not end well for my neck. And I don't have a lot of body motion to be able, or body mechanics to be able to build that up. Simple thing, hard to explain. I think we're going to get one more in, and we'll talk about that when we get to it. But apparently he's just giving me the wisdom right now. I don't remember what we were talking about, truly. It's been over a week or so since this roll. But he is teaching me quite a few things, I will say. I didn't know this part was so long. I should have edited this video. Silly me. But yeah, it's good rest for my stomach. It needed it that day. Too much. But again, Marc is very good and very kind. So when he has let me work, let's put it that way, because he could probably shut me down, no problem, on a lot of things. See, I really like this, I don't know if it's called Z-Guard. I believe it's called Z-Guard. It's knee shield. Anyway, I really like knee shield positions myself on the bottom. I feel like it opens up to a lot of attacks and movement. It also allows you to basically re-guard, sweep, all those kinds of things. Now, does it allow you to get past a little bit easier? Yeah, I think so. It's clearly not a closed guard or anything like that. Here I'm super elevated, and he was super nice, didn't just shuck me over. And here I go to the bottom position because I attach to the head. And when I attach to the head, my hips get low. And then he's able to basically raise his hips and then beat me. Super simple. It's harder to feel when you are actually doing it, that when you grab people's head, you typically lower your body to their body level. So if they want to get on top of you, they most of the time just have to raise their hips. Sure, you have control of their head. So if you could stuff it or move your hips faster or better than them, then you'll probably win that scramble. However, keep that in mind when you grab people's heads. Don't be lazy. Not like me. And here I'm back in his side control, and I'm telling you, this is the place to be. I need to spend more time here because I can't get him off. And here I think he's just going to do another lapel choke. He's going to get it too. Yeah, I think I need to stop being silly. I'm, again, trying to make space and almost end up in the north-south position. But here I'm like giving him my arm. And I felt like giving him my arm was the better option out of the things. And here, this is where I'm going to try to basically escape. I'm not using the scissor choke. I should say scissor choke, air quotes. I'm literally using it to prevent him from being able to extend and basically take my arm away. It worked. Wouldn't recommend it as a line of defense all the time, but hey, you do what you gotta do. It was there. Took the opportunity of elevating my hips, but it puts me right back in the position, so I should try to escape. And here I am trying to escape, but I'm not paying attention to certain things because I've apparently spent too much time in no-gi that I don't respect the gis. Yeah, you can already see where he's applying pressure, right? He doesn't get it right here, I believe. He gets it right when he grabs in. Yeah, he's trying to get that grip right there. And I open it up to him. I move my hand, and I'm just like, yeah, you can have this. Because I'm dumb. Because he has my arm, but as soon as I move my arm, there it is. I said, I don't want you to have my arm. He says, I don't want your arm anyway. He just takes my throat. So be cognizant of that. That's literally the end of these rules. I think the rest of this video is him just, giving me a little bit more advice, a little bit more wisdom. So big shout out to Bad Ace for letting us train there. And also big shout out to Marc because he's got a lot to teach people. And hopefully you get a chance to roll with him if you're in the local area. And if you're not, hopefully you meet him in life. Super kind dude. Alright. I think that is everything. See y'all on the next one.